The day the Galactic Empire arrived at Earth's orbit, the skies above Sol shimmered with strange lights. Giant ships, larger than any human city, moved with precision and purpose, blocking out the sun. People stopped their daily routines, staring at the heavens with a mixture of fear and disbelief. The Empire's fleet was immense, silent, and cold. Each ship seemed alive yet indifferent, designed to show the strength of a civilization that had conquered thousands of worlds. Inside the United Nations Space Command Center, located in a reinforced building outside the city, diplomats and military officials gathered. Park Tiemann, a senior diplomat, adjusted his headset and leaned over the table, reading the incoming message from the Galactic Empire. Kim Hyunji, an intelligence analyst, was beside him, her eyes scanning every word on the screen. The message was clear: surrender unconditionally or face total annihilation. The words were formal, polished, and terrifying. Tiemann looked up at Hyunji and furrowed his brow. "They expect us to be afraid," he said, voice low. "They want fear. That is the only way they understand control." Hyunji nodded, but she felt an odd sensation in her chest. Fear was there, yes, but it was mixed with something else. Humanity had survived famine, plagues, and wars that had destroyed nations. Earth itself had faced near-extinction events before, from massive natural disasters to pandemics. And every time, humans had risen again, stronger and wiser. Somehow, the Empire's display did not seem enough to break that instinct. As the Empire's message continued, a live broadcast showed a view of their fleet from orbit. Citizens across the globe watched the giant ships, and for the first time, the Empire expected the planet to tremble. But instead, murmurs of disbelief turned into whispers of laughter. Small at first, almost nervous, and then spreading like wildfire. People laughed at the sheer audacity of the Empire's expectations. They laughed because, deep down, humanity understood one thing: no fleet in the universe could make them stop being human. In the command center, the laughter was more contained, but no less evident. Park Tiemann cleared his throat, trying to maintain composure. Yet even he couldn't help a small chuckle. Did they think we would just fall silent? He muttered. Hyunji shook her head. They don't understand us. They believe fear is universal. But fear is different for every species. Outside, people continued to watch the fleet. Children pointed at the sky, teenagers took photos, and families gathered to witness the event that would be recorded as one of the most significant moments in human history. Street vendors even made light of it, joking about selling popcorn to watch the aliens' faces when humans didn't cry. Across continents, social media buzzed with laughter and memes mocking the Empire's expected response. The Empire's communication, designed to terrify, was being interpreted as a joke. Meanwhile, inside the command center, senior military officials debated the possible strategies. Commander Kang Seo-jin, a veteran of space missions, studied the Empire's formations. They are fast, organized, and well-equipped. But speed and weapons don't frighten a species that has survived extinction events on its own planet, he said. His words were calm, but carried the weight of experience. Park Tiemann leaned back, eyes on the viewport that showed the massive fleet. They believe they are untouchable, he said. They have conquered worlds, yet they have never faced a species that can laugh at its own fear. Laughter is not defiance, it is resilience. Hyunji typed rapidly on her console, analyzing the Empire's signals. Their sensors are likely reading emotional responses differently. They might interpret laughter as a threat. It is possible they are trying to understand why humans are reacting this way. The Empire's ambassadors finally attempted to communicate directly, projecting holographic images into the command room. The figures were imposing, tall, armored in shimmering suits that reflected the room's lights. Their faces, pale and alien, were unreadable. The leader spoke, a voice that resonated through the walls. Humanity, your defiance is illogical. Comply or be destroyed. The human team listened, and a strange silence filled the room. No one spoke immediately. Then, a low chuckle escaped Park Teeman. Hyunji followed, and soon the entire command center had laughter bubbling, restrained but undeniably present. The Empire did not understand. They expected cries, pleas, or at least silent compliance. Instead, they heard amusement, a reaction that confused their advanced algorithms and strategies. Outside, Earth's population could sense the shift in mood. Humanity was not paralyzed with fear. Instead, they watched with interest, their laughter mingling with determination. News anchors, trained to maintain composure, occasionally smiled during live broadcasts. Children pointed at the sky, mimicking laughter, echoing a sound that the Empire could not comprehend. Inside the command center, strategists began discussions. "We must continue calm communication," said Kang Seojin. "Do not underestimate them. Laughter does not mean weakness. It means we are aware of fear, and yet we refuse to surrender to it." Engineer Lee Jizu, sitting at a nearby console, looked at the fleet's configuration. "They are huge, yes, but size does not equate to invincibility. They assume fear will control us. It won't, not now, not ever." The Empire, observing remotely, grew puzzled. Their scans registered something unusual. Human heart rates did not spike as expected. Brainwave patterns did not indicate panic, and speech patterns included subtle, repeated laughter. Their analysis systems failed to categorize the response, which only intensified the Imperial officer's anxiety. As the sun set over Seoul, the fleet's massive silhouettes glowed against the orange sky. Humans gathered in the streets, not to protest, but to watch history unfold. They told stories, shared jokes, and recorded videos to mark the arrival of beings that claimed to be superior. None of it was out of ignorance. Every laugh, every joke, every shared story was a declaration of endurance, a reminder that humanity had faced greater dangers and emerged stronger. Park Teeman spoke to the Empire's envoy once again. "We hear your threats. We understand your strength. But you mistake fear for respect. Humanity has survived the impossible. Laughter is how we acknowledge that, not mockery. It is how we tell the universe, we are still here and we are ready for anything." The Empire could not comprehend this. They withdrew slightly, reassessing, unsure of what it meant. Every sensor, every probe, every holographic scan failed to capture the essence of the human response. The laughter continued, steady, unwavering, spreading through command centers, living rooms, and streets. It was a sound of resilience and understanding, a quiet power that no weapon could measure. For the humans in the command center, the first contact had not yet escalated to conflict, but it had shifted the dynamics. The Empire, proud and undefeated across the stars, was now confronted with something entirely new, a species that refused to bow to fear. The humans' laughter, their calm eyes, and their steady determination became the first real weapon, a psychological force that no laser or missile could match. In that moment, Park Teeman, Kim Hyun-ji, Kang Seo-jin, and Lee Ji-soo realized that the true battle had begun not in weapons, not in fleets, but in the heart. Humanity had met the Galactic Empire, and their first response was not terror, not submission, but laughter. And that laughter, simple as it seemed, carried the weight of countless generations who had faced extinction and survived. The Empire's emissaries, observing through every possible channel, were recording every detail, every response, and every laugh. They would not understand it immediately, and perhaps not for decades. Yet in this first encounter, humanity had made its mark. They had met a galactic force, vast and terrifying, and had not flinched. Instead, they had shown something far more dangerous, the ability to remain human when all else demanded fear. And as the night fell over Earth, humans continued to watch the stars, not with trembling hands, but with quiet, unwavering eyes, knowing that laughter could be the beginning of a story no one in the galaxy would soon forget. The Galactic Empire continued to hover above Earth, its ships like enormous dark stars, casting long shadows across the oceans and continents. Their presence was overwhelming, yet humanity remained calm. In Seoul, Park Taemin and Kim Hyunji watched the fleet on the enormous screens, alongside engineers, scientists, and military officers. The Empire had made their intentions clear: submit or be destroyed. But humans did not react with fear as expected. Instead, they reacted with quiet amusement, a stubborn refusal to let the aliens control their emotions. Outside, people carried on their lives in strange harmony with the presence of the massive ships. Street vendors joked about the giant metal umbrellas, children waved at the shadows above, and some families even had picnics on rooftops, watching the alien vessels move in formation. The world had not stopped. It had adapted in the human way, with humor and resilience. Laughter continued to ripple through the streets, a strange counter to the Empire's intent to intimidate. Inside the command center, engineers and analysts monitored the alien ships. Lee Jisoo adjusted the readings from a probe that had been sent toward the fleet. "They are trying to measure fear, stress, and morale," she explained. "But humans are unpredictable. They are laughing, yes, but not from ignorance. This is their strength showing through." Kang Seojin leaned over her shoulder, studying the data. "We have survived earthquakes, wars, pandemics. We have seen disasters that could wipe out cities overnight. Our people know fear, but they do not surrender to it easily. The Empire cannot understand this. They only see species they have already conquered. The Empire, on their part, tried to demonstrate power. They targeted an uninhabited moon, reducing it to dust with a single energy blast. The display was intended to terrify, to show humans that resistance was useless. The energy blast lit the sky, a reminder of what could happen if they refused. Analysts expected panic to ripple through the planet. Yet humans only watched with measured interest. There were gasps, yes, but also murmurs of admiration and, strangely, laughter. The Empire's calculations failed. They could not predict the human response. In the command center, Park Taemin addressed the room. "They believe destruction equals submission. But humans have endured far worse. The loss of a moon does not scare us. It reminds us of what we must protect and what we have already overcome." Choi Hana, the historian, joined the discussion, her calm voice cutting through the tension. "Humanity has faced plagues that killed millions, wars that destroyed nations, and environmental disasters that erased civilizations. Yet we are still here. Fear is not our master. Laughter is our shield." The Empire observed all of this from their flagship, their sensors recording laughter, social media activity, and broadcast signals. Their analysts were confused. No species in the galaxy had survived their method of intimidation without panic. The human response was unprecedented, and the Empire did not know how to react. Back on Earth, citizens began to understand their power, not in weapons, but in spirit. Public figures addressed the world with calm determination. They spoke not with arrogance, but with a clear understanding of survival. The message was simple. Humanity did not fear death. They feared only the loss of their way of life and the possibility of giving up. The Empire had no control over this instinct. It was innate. Meanwhile, in the command center, Lee Jisoo and her team worked tirelessly. They studied alien energy patterns, weapon capabilities, and ship formations. "We do not need to attack yet," she said. "We only need to understand them. Knowledge is power. Observation is strength. Kang Seojin nodded. And in observing them, we also observe ourselves. Humanity is strongest when it faces threats and still chooses to endure. Our laughter, our calm, our unity, this is our weapon. The Empire, growing frustrated, attempted a direct communication again. The holographic figures appeared in the command center, their presence imposing and cold. The leader spoke, his voice resonating through the walls. Humanity, your laughter is illogical. Your resistance is futile. Submit, or all will be lost. Park Taemin, standing tall, replied, We hear your threats. We understand your strength. But we are not afraid. We have survived plagues, wars, and natural disasters far greater than your show of force. Laughter is not defiance. It is understanding. It is the way we face the impossible and move forward. The Empire's officers were visibly unsettled, their confidence shaken. Their sensors could not read defiance in human laughter. It was a sound that carried history, endurance, and resilience. Every chuckle echoed the memory of survival through centuries of hardship. It was a sound that no weapon could counter, a force that had no measurable strength, but was undeniable. On the streets, humans continued their routines, still aware of the Empire's presence. Children played, families shared meals, and news anchors reported events with subtle smiles. The world did not panic. It adapted, as humans always did, finding humor and resilience in the face of what should have been terror. The Empire, observing remotely, began to understand a small part of the human secret. Laughter was not weakness. It was preparation. It was the quiet strength that comes from having survived everything before. In the command center, strategists discussed potential outcomes. They may strike next, Kang Seojin said. But remember, humans are best at fighting when they are not driven by panic. We endure, we calculate, we respond. That is why our laughter matters. It is not mockery. It is strength. Lee Jisoo added, We have seen them in our history. Invaders came and left. Empires rose and fell. Humans have learned from each encounter. Laughter is part of that learning. It shows we understand fear, but we do not bow to it. The Empire, finally, began to change tactics. Their initial assumption that fear could control humans was proving false. They tried to measure anger, confusion, and even amusement, but the humans' responses were all layered, unpredictable, and unclassifiable. Each reaction seemed to throw off their calculations, leaving the Imperial officers in an unexpected state of doubt. For humans, this doubt was an advantage. Park Taemin spoke to his team. They expected terror. We gave them resilience. They expected silence. We gave them laughter. We do not need to strike first. We only need to endure. And in enduring, we teach the galaxy that humanity is not easily frightened. As night fell over Earth, the alien fleet's dark silhouettes remained in orbit, but the planet below was calm. Streets were lit with ordinary lights, children played, and people laughed at the absurdity of the situation. Humanity had met the Empire with calm eyes, a steady heart, and laughter that echoed across continents. They had begun to show the first real sign that fear alone could not control them. Park Taemin, Kim Hyun-ji, Kang Seojin, and Lee Jisoo watched the sky together, knowing this was only the beginning. The Empire had come expecting submission and terror. Instead, it found something it could not quantify or control, a species that faced the unknown with laughter, understanding, and unshakable endurance. Humanity had shown its first response, not with weapons or anger, but with the simple, unyielding strength of the human spirit, a lesson that would echo throughout the galaxy long after the night ended. In the days following the first contact, humanity began to share pieces of its past with the Galactic Empire. The alien fleet remained in orbit, observing, their immense ships silent yet menacing. Inside the command center, Choi Hana, the historian, prepared a series of records and images to show the empire, carefully selecting events that would illustrate the human spirit. Park Tinin and Kim Hyunji watched as she organized footage from ancient wars, natural disasters, and moments of human endurance. The goal was not to boast, but to make the empire understand the depth of human experience. The empire's sensors recorded everything. They did not understand why humans would voluntarily share memories of destruction, pain, and suffering. In the human view, these were not signs of weakness, but of survival, of learning, of rising again when all seemed lost. Choi Hana explained each event with calm precision, her voice steady, showing that humanity had endured challenges far beyond the galaxy's imagination. Park Taemin stepped forward to address the empire. You see these events not as victories or losses, but as lessons. Humanity has survived floods that drowned entire cities, wars that shattered nations, and diseases that killed millions. Yet we continue, we rebuild, and we laugh at our own fears. Laughter is how we face death and suffering without losing ourselves. The empire's officers were confused. Their records showed conquered worlds, easily brought under control. No species had laughed in the face of extinction, nor displayed calm after witnessing overwhelming force. Every human action was unpredictable, every response layered with history, memory, and emotion. The empire did not know how to classify a dot in the streets of Earth. People watched broadcasts of the historical records. Families gathered to witness their past, not with sorrow alone, but with pride. Children asked questions about wars and disasters. Adults explained with calmness and honesty. The message was clear. Humans survived because they understood fear, faced it, and moved forward with strength. The empire, observing remotely, had never seen a species so open about suffering without despair. Engineer Lee Jisoo worked tirelessly to interpret the empire's reactions. They are puzzled, she said. They expected fear, panic, and submission. Instead, they see a species that has survived everything, and they do not understand how it is possible. Each human event we share only reinforces that confusion. Kang Seojin nodded. The empire believes in control through power. They conquer through terror. But humans do not surrender to terror. Our history proves that no weapon, no force, can make us give up entirely. That is why our laughter unsettles them. It shows resilience, not ignorance. Choi Hana presented records of ancient pandemics, wars between nations, and natural disasters that reshaped continents. She explained how humans learned from each event, how communities rebuilt, and how individuals adapted. Each story highlighted endurance, creativity, and cooperation. The empire had expected pride in conquest, submission in defeat. Instead, they saw humans rising again and again, turning despair into action, fear into determination. Park Taemin addressed the empire once more. You think fear will control us. You think death will silence us. But humans have faced collapse, famine, disease, and devastation. We have survived every test, and our laughter is a signal that we know the universe is dangerous, yet we are prepared. That is our strength. The empire's officers tried to adjust. They focused on measuring aggression, calculating threat levels, and anticipating possible attacks. Yet human history was not a series of attacks or plans for domination. It was survival, adaptation, and cooperation. Each act of endurance was unpredictable. Their sensors, designed to anticipate fear, found themselves overwhelmed by the complexity of human behavior. In homes around the world, people discussed what was happening. Scientists explained the alien fleet and its intent. Teachers spoke of human history and resilience. Conversations were calm, but filled with determination. People laughed, not out of ignorance, but as a reminder that fear did not control them. Laughter became a quiet resistance, a demonstration of understanding and preparedness. Inside the command center, Kang Seojin summarized the situation. They are studying us, yes, but they cannot fully understand. Fear alone cannot dominate humanity. Our laughter, our endurance, and our willingness to confront the impossible make us unpredictable. That is what frightens them more than any weapon. Lee Jisoo added, they see destruction, and we see lessons. They see chaos, and we see patterns to survive. That is why our responses confuse them. Laughter, calmness, and unity are invisible forces they cannot measure. They expected terror, and instead, they witnessed comprehension. Park Taemin reflected quietly. Every generation has faced threats that seemed insurmountable. Humanity has endured floods, earthquakes, wars, and plagues. Each time, we rose again, stronger and wiser. We do not deny fear. We acknowledge it, and we move forward. That is why laughter is not mockery. It is understanding, acceptance, and courage. The Empire, observing this, began to adjust its approach. They reduced aggressive maneuvers and tried to interpret human behavior with caution. Their officers debated strategies that could force submission, but every calculation failed to predict human endurance. The more they tried, the more unpredictable humans seemed. Laughter, calmness, and unity became weapons the Empire could not counter. Across the globe, humans continued their routines, their resilience reflected in everyday life. Streets were filled with people, not in panic, but in calm observation. Families, children, teachers, and leaders all showed the same strength, the same understanding. The Empire had arrived to intimidate, but humanity had turned the situation into a lesson in endurance. Showing that survival was more than physical strength, it was spirit. Mind and heart. Choi Hana concluded the historical presentation, and Park Taemin addressed the Empire one final time. We share this history not to boast, but to explain who we are. We are not afraid of threats or power. We do not bow to intimidation. We survive, we adapt, and we endure. Our laughter, our calm, our persistence, these are the true measures of our strength. You may conquer worlds, but humanity has conquered fear. That is why we endure. The Empire, now cautious, recorded every detail. They did not fully understand the human way, but they began to respect it. The unpredictability of a species that could laugh at fear and remain strong without weapons or aggression created a new tension. The humans had revealed their past, their resilience, and their spirit, and in doing so, they had begun to rewrite the rules of engagement. As night fell, the alien fleet remained in orbit, but the atmosphere had shifted. Humanity had not bowed, not trembled, and not panicked. Instead, they had shared their history, demonstrated their understanding, and reinforced their resilience. Across Earth, laughter and calm persisted. A quiet yet powerful statement that humanity was prepared for whatever the galaxy could send next. In the command center, Park Taemin, Kim Hyun-ji, Kang Seojin, and Lee Jisoo watched the alien fleet, understanding that their first victories were not with weapons, but with knowledge, endurance, and spirit. The Empire had come expecting fear. They had found humanity's strength in history, laughter, and unwavering courage. And that strength, invisible yet undeniable, was a force no alien power had ever truly faced before. The Galactic Empire, having studied humanity's history and responses, decided to test them directly. A small strike force was deployed toward an Earth outpost, expecting to provoke panic, confusion, and quick surrender. In Seoul, the command center monitored the incoming threat. Commander Kang Seojin reviewed fleet movements while Park Taemin, Kim Hyun-ji, and Lee Jisoo prepared for the potential crisis. The room was tense, but unlike what the Empire anticipated, there was no fear. Instead, a quiet readiness filled the air. The humans at the outpost saw the incoming fleet on their radars. Soldiers exchanged calm glances, aware of the overwhelming force approaching. Lieutenant Yun Era, a skilled pilot, adjusted her helmet and prepared her squadron for immediate response. "We know what's coming. We are ready," she said. Her voice carried no panic, only determination. Her team nodded, understanding that fear could not control them. As the Empire's strike force approached, humans began their defensive maneuvers. Ships launched from Earth's orbit with precision, forming formations that were strategic, efficient, and unexpected. The Empire had calculated reactions based on terror, but humans had no need for it. Each movement was measured, deliberate, and calm. Their defense was not chaotic, but it was unpredictable in a way the Empire could not anticipate. From the command center, Li Jizu monitored the engagement, analyzing patterns of energy, movement, and tactics. "They are reacting with precision and efficiency," she said. "Not out of fear, not out of aggression, but because they understand the situation and are prepared. That is why we are unpredictable. The Empire cannot force fear onto a species that has faced the impossible before." Yun Era piloted her squadron with remarkable skill. They intercepted the incoming alien vessels, disabling weapons without causing unnecessary destruction. Humans understood the Empire's intent, but chose restraint. Each strike was calculated to protect, not to provoke retaliation. The Empire's sensors struggled to read this approach. Aggression was expected, chaos was expected, but disciplined calm and precision were not. Park Teeman observed the battle from the command center, his voice calm. They thought the first strike would cause panic. Instead, humanity responds with understanding and skill. Fear does not guide our actions. Preparedness does. Strategy does. Courage does. The Empire's officers, watching remotely, began to show concern. Their calculations for human responses failed repeatedly. The very species they assumed would collapse under threat was responding with calculated action, demonstrating that human endurance went beyond survival instincts. It was wisdom formed from centuries of facing the impossible and surviving. Back on the surface, civilians watched the defense unfold through live broadcasts. Streets were filled with people observing, but no one panicked. There was awe, yes, and concern, but no terror. Humanity had accepted the threat and was responding as it always did, thoughtfully, strategically, and with courage. Their calmness contrasted sharply with the Empire's assumptions about fear-driven behavior. In the command center, Kang Seojin noted, "Humans fight best when they have accepted risk and loss. Panic does not make us stronger. Calculated action does. That is why laughter and calm in the face of threat are our true power." As the battle continued, the Empire realized that their limited strike had failed to intimidate. Human forces disabled several key vessels without unnecessary destruction, leaving the aliens puzzled and unsettled. The unpredictability of human reaction, their calm and precise execution, forced the Empire to retreat to a distance. Reassessing their approach, Yun Era returned to the base, reporting on the mission's success. "We did what was necessary to protect the outpost," she said. "No more, no less. We are prepared, but we do not escalate unnecessarily. We do not let fear control us." Back in the command center, Park Teeman addressed his team. They came expecting panic. They received preparedness. They expected fear. They received calm and efficiency. Humanity's strength is not in overwhelming force. It is in knowing what must be done and doing it without panic. Li Jisu analyzed the Empire's responses to the engagement. Their sensors are confused. They cannot predict human behavior based on fear. Each decision we make is informed by experience, understanding, and acceptance of risk. That is why they are unsettled. They expected submission, and they received the opposite. Across Earth, people continued to watch developments. News outlets emphasized the calm response and strategic efficiency. Public conversations reflected understanding and unity. People laughed quietly, a mixture of pride and recognition of human resilience. Even in the face of direct threat, humanity maintained its spirit, demonstrating that laughter and courage could coexist with action. Kang Seojin summed up the lesson for the command center. The Empire will learn that fear does not control humanity. We have shown them that preparedness, strategy, and understanding are our weapons. Our calm in crisis is our strength. They may have power, but we have endurance and wisdom. That is something they cannot conquer. As the night fell, the Empire withdrew temporarily, reassessing the species they had intended to intimidate. Humans had survived the first test not through overwhelming firepower, but through calm action, strategic precision, and the refusal to give in to fear. Their laughter, their focus, and their unity had been a shield stronger than any technology. The Empire had come expecting terror, but they found an unyielding species prepared to endure whatever came next. Park Taemin, Kim Hyunji, Kang Seojin, and Lee Jisoo looked at the night sky, where the alien fleet hovered in the distance. They understood that this encounter was far from over. The Empire had learned something new. Humanity's strength was not in weapons, but in spirit. Laughter, calm, and preparedness had proven to be more powerful than intimidation. The humans had shown that when faced with the impossible, they acted with understanding, courage, and efficiency. Humanity had faced a test, and they had passed it with dignity. The Empire had expected panic and submission. They had received calmness, strategy, and laughter. And as Earth settled into night, the humans knew that their real power lay not in the battles yet to come, but in the strength that had carried them through every challenge in history, and that would carry them through any challenge in the future. After the failed strike on the human outpost, the Galactic Empire paused to reconsider their approach. Their initial assumptions about fear, panic, and submission had been proven wrong. From the command center in Seoul, Park Taemin, Kim Hyunji, Kang Seojin, and Lee Jisoo monitored the distant fleet, which had retreated slightly, now observing with caution. The Empire's strategy had shifted. They were now trying to understand humanity rather than intimidate it. The humans on Earth continued their routines with quiet confidence. Streets were alive with normal activities, yet everyone understood the gravity of the situation. Citizens spoke calmly about the alien fleet, their resilience evident in casual conversation, laughter, and unity. People shared information, teaching each other about the Empire's technology, the fleet's movements, and what humanity could do to protect itself. The Empire observed this behavior with confusion. Fear, they learned, did not guide human actions. Calmness, intelligence, and cooperation did in the command center. Lee Jisoo studied the fleet's movements. "They are cautious now," she said. "They have realized that humans do not respond predictably. Each time they try intimidation, we respond with calm, preparation, and understanding. They cannot control us with fear." Kang Seojin nodded. "They are powerful, yes, but power alone does not guarantee control. We survive by knowing what must be done, by acting carefully, and by understanding our own strength. Laughter, calm, and unity are forces they cannot measure." Park Taemin addressed his team. They assumed submission. They assumed panic. They received readiness, resilience, and determination. This is humanity's advantage. We do not need to prove strength with weapons alone. Our spirit is already our defense. The Empire attempted one more show of force, sending a fleet toward major cities. Satellites recorded the movements, and humans watched with cautious interest. In the command center, Choi Hana reminded everyone, "We have faced disasters before. We have survived wars, earthquakes, and pandemics. We know how to respond. Calmness and understanding will guide our actions, not fear." Civilians remained calm. Families gathered to watch broadcasts, sharing quiet smiles and light laughter. Streets were filled with ordinary activities, a testament to human resilience. The Empire's censors recorded this calm and misinterpreted it, creating uncertainty among their officers. They were not sure whether humans were hiding fear, or whether they truly did not understand danger. In either case, humans were unpredictable, and that unpredictability unsettled the Empire.Yun era, and her squadron remained on standby, ready to act if necessary. "We are prepared," she said to her team. "We fight only if needed, but we do not let fear control us. That is our advantage." The squadron trained with precision, reviewing strategies and protocols, ensuring readiness while maintaining calm. Their discipline reflected the human approach, balance between understanding risk and acting decisively. Park Taemin spoke with the Empire's envoy again, projecting calm authority. "We respect your strength, but we do not fear it. You may have conquered worlds, but humanity faces danger differently. We endure, we adapt, and we survive. Our laughter, our calm, and our unity are not signs of weakness. They are signs of understanding. That is why we will endure whatever comes next." The Empire, realizing that intimidation and force were ineffective, began to request peaceful terms. Communications flowed back and forth, filled with cautious language. Humanity responded with pragmatism, not mercy, understanding that negotiation was part of survival. The aliens learned to respect the species that could laugh at fear and remain prepared. Across Earth, people celebrated small victories quietly, not through war or destruction, but through endurance, unity, and calm action. They understood that survival was more than avoiding death. It was about maintaining spirit, intelligence, and cooperation. Laughter continued to ripple through streets, broadcast signals, and private conversations. It was no longer nervous or reactive. It had become a declaration. Humanity was unbroken dot in the command center. Kang Seojin reflected. The Empire came expecting submission and terror. They found calm, strategy, and resilience. They expected chaos and panic. They found laughter, precision, and unity. That is why humanity is strong. That is why we endure. Lee Jisoo added, "They cannot calculate what they cannot measure. Our calm, our humor, and our understanding are forces beyond technology. Weapons are temporary. Spirit and endurance are permanent. That is our true power." Park Taemin looked at the night sky, where the Empire's ships hovered at a distance. "We have not yet fought them, and perhaps we never need to. Our strength is in our ability to endure, to act calmly, and to remain human. That is something no empire can take from us." The alien fleet, now cautious and respectful, began to withdraw slowly. Their sensors and calculations had been tested repeatedly, and they found themselves unable to dominate a species that did not respond to fear as expected. Humans had met the challenge not with aggression alone, but with resilience, intelligence, and laughter. They had shown the galaxy that survival depended on spirit as much as on technology. As Earth settled into night, humanity remained vigilant but unafraid. Streets were quiet yet lively, filled with the subtle sounds of ordinary life. Families, friends, and colleagues shared stories, teaching each other lessons from history and strategy. Laughter, calmness, and preparedness had become part of the culture, part of the invisible shield that protected them. The Empire had come to threaten, but it had learned something vital. Humans were not controlled by fear. They were guided by understanding and endurance. Park Taemin, Kim Hyun-ji, Kang Seojin and Lee Jisu looked at each other, knowing that humanity had made its mark. They had met a galactic power, and instead of fear, they had given calm, precision, and laughter. They had shown the galaxy that when humanity faces danger, it does not cower. It endures, it adapts, and it survives. And in that endurance, the universe witnessed a new kind of strength, one that no weapon or fleet could ever fully control.